dear learners. I hope you all are doing well. I welcome you to the new module titled Note-Taking and Note-Making, which is a continual effort of the MOOC on Introduction to Functional English. Following the efforts to enhance your writing communication skills, the previous MOOC modules attempted to practically brief you on how to better your creative and critical skills in writing letters, columns and press releases. In this particular model, my dear learners, we shall focus on note-taking as well as note-making, both of which is confused as a similar act of writing. This is because both the words have often been used interchangeably. Keeping both the similarities and differences of the acts of note-making and note-taking, the objective of this module shall be, first, to understand the basic concepts of note-making and note-taking. Second, to highlight the key features and skills required to better the learner's ability of note-making as well as note-taking. Third, my dear learners, are two very important concepts associated with both this act of writing, which are skimming and scanning, which will be discussed in a following section of this module. The last objective of this module will be to outline the benefits, relevance and applicability of note-making and note-taking in the 21st century. With these objectives in mind, I would like to now introduce the entire conception of note-making and note-taking in separate ideas and sections. First, we will deal with note-taking as a concept. My dear learners, note-taking is simply a way of concisely recording important information so that you can later recall it. Regardless of how good you think your memory is, you will need to take notes in certain situations to remind yourself of what was being said. It is a mistake to think that you, when have attended a meeting or a lecture or any other important conversation or talk with somebody important enough in a particular situation, that you will remember all the information that was told to you. This is an impossible act. Our memory is not entirely reliable. You may well remember the overall topic of the discussion, even some very specific and important details. Note-taking is a powerful aid to communication, a way of summarizing and retaining the key points from what you have heard and understood. In this sense, note-making is the practice of recording information captured from a transient source, such as an oral discussion at a meeting or any lecture. Notes of a meeting are usually called minutes. The format of this initial record may often be formal, informal or unstructured. One common format for such note is shorthand, which can allow you to write a lot of information down together in a paper more quickly than writing them in full length words. Note making is an important skill for students, especially at college level, where a lot of information on a particular topic is given in a short duration of time. Many different formats are used to structure information and make it easier to find and later understand. There are a number of different ways to take note, my dear learners, and it is desirable that you use the method that you are most comfortable with. While this is what note-making gives us as an introductory idea, note-making is where we use our knowledge. Our knowledge is broad and limitless, but our memory capacity is restricted. We cannot recall everything at the same time. As a result, note-making becomes essential. The purpose of taking notes is to filter key information and which will help us remember the topic better. While note-making is more than just writing down what you have read or heard. It is a process of synthesizing and revisiting concepts from lecture or reading. So it includes your participation where you listen to a particular lecture, process the information, think about it critically, and then write your summarizing conception of the lectures that you had previously attended. Note making, therefore, is a way of recording important details from a source. This source can be any book, article, meeting, or any oral discussion. In note making, the writer records the essence of the information. It helps you to understand and clarify thinking. Note making saves a lot of money by going through the notes that you have made. One can get a glimpse of a lot of information from a short note. Note making is therefore, like I have previously mentioned, is the process of creating simple notes and rewriting them in your own words. Through note making, you can reword anyone else's idea into notes that fit your needs and requirement. Note making is simply an act of just writing down everything you hear or read. It is an advanced skill, my dear learner, that requires processes of reviewing, connecting, and synthesizing idea from your lecture and reading. It is seen as an encouraged habit among school-going or college-going students, as it makes them stay active and engaged during academic lecture, reading, and revision. It also helps them to understand concepts better, as well as clarify and generate analytical thinking. This is because it allows you to be more selective in identifying with the key ideas that shall help you to plan and structure your written assignments or academical performance, while also helping you to achieve productive review and revision skills. Next, we will talk about the basic characteristics that are required or should be present in the process of note making and note taking. For this purpose, first we shall discuss note making. In note making, we see that since it is the organization of main points of bulky documents or presentation for further use, you have to be very critical on what you are trying to write. Second basic characteristics of note making is that it helps in keeping the information handy as and how we require them. Third, it has essential points that will make it more readable and interesting. Fourth, it condenses the complete set of data into a reasonable size, which is easy to be remembered and revised in the future. Next point again, it distinguishes between the main point and the details of a lecture and meeting. Meaning, in the process of note making, it is generally advised that you should have headings and subheadings. While the headings should contain the main points, the subheadings can contain certain specific and important documented information. So, in an overall presentation of a note-making project, you will see that it should contain two different sets of points. One, the main point, which should generally be done in a separate paragraph, while the details should be a carry along of that point, so that it can help you remember better on how to process that idea in your future references. The next point is, it will also help you in fast thinking and comprehension, memory retention, and will prepare you for a last moment record. And the last point of note making will be that it helps in summarizing and overviewing a group of information, which lends a hand in recognizing central issues of a particular lecture. Next, like we discussed note making, we will talk now about note taking, my dear friends. In this, the first basic characteristics that you will come across are that it can help you to locate the information that you need faster, as it requires you to organize notes into sections such as headings, subheadings, and other similar markers to find the notes that you need for a specific topic without looking through your entire notebook or a particular test book. Second point again, that it will help you in learning and remembering points effectively. Third basic characteristics of note taking is that it can further help you to review and critically think about the information received as notes, which will become your guide in learning and development after the event of the lecture is over. Your notes form a part of the working document that you will return to afterwards and add more information and perspectives of your own. To be good at note making, your listening skills have to be strong. Also, your speed of writing. The ability to write in shorthand using signs, symbols, and adjectives needs to be enhanced. Next point will be that it requires a good presence of mind and patience. The coordination between your eyes, fingers, and mind needs to be well aligned. Also, it requires you to concentrate on key points while remaining alert and active to what has been said. Next, I will want you to think about whether or not a point is noteworthy while writing down. Definitely not. Not all points that we hear in a lecture is worth taking note of. So you have to develop the skill where you will know exactly what you know and what you don't know, using some kind of shorthand method which you should uniquely develop for your own benefits. Do not therefore take notes all information in the process of taking notes. Otherwise, you will end up with a lot of irrelevant points which will ultimately distract you from the important things. After this, we can say that we need to have a certain set of skills that will actually help us effectively to garner our habit of note making and note taking. To do so, my dear learner, this module will now actively engage in discussing skills that are required for note making first. The first thing that you would need in the process of note making is active listening. Active listening is the ability to listen carefully to the person you are communicating with, comprehend what they are saying, and respond thoughtfully. To take great notes, it is necessary that you first need to be a good and patient listener. Next important skill that you need to garner, my dear learners, is critical thinking, which will eventually allow you to evaluate information comprehensively, enabling you to understand a topic or issue and then develop an effective solution of it quickly. Note-taking requires the ability to better discern what information is important and what to write down. After this, the most important skill that you would require is organization. Organization skill refers to your ability to process and categorize information and tasks efficiently and remember important details. Also, you will need reading skills, which is your ability to read written words, and they will allow you later to comprehend a variety of written communication, to understand a written text and take effective notes. It is necessary that you have to develop a well-developed reading skill, which should include your grammar, your own vision, contact with the particular text that you have, and most importantly, your speed of reading. Research skill is another skill that you will need to develop for this purpose, which is the ability to search for and locate as well as use relevant information effectively. To take thorough notes, it is necessary that you possess the research skill required to collect, review, and interpret information. Without this skill, my dear friends, you will not be able to assess which information is important and which is not. The last but the most important skill that is needed for this particular habit is the reviewing skill, which refers to your ability to regularly review and compare your notes to the previous ones that you have taken. Reviewing your notes can help you improve their quality and locate more mistakes easily. Next, we will talk about note-taking skills, which is equally important to note-making. The first skill, before the meeting or a lecture, wherever you plan to go, you should know what the topic is about. You should have a basic information on what you are going to be presented with. This will actually help you to understand which information to write down and which you can skip. You may want to meet with the attendees or review any outline or material you received to learn more about the topic and the agenda. It makes it easier thereafter to have better communication with other colleagues, friends, or students who will help you to take a better structuring format of your style in note taking. Each time you take note, create a title at the top of your notes and include important information such as the date of the presentation, content, meeting, lecture or conferences, and the primary topic of which you are a part of. As you take notes, create new categories for different type of information or subtopics using headers. Next, that you have to be particularly good at is the skill of formatting. Formatting can be useful to help you to organize information, especially when you're taking too many information down at the same time. You can use symbols or signs which could include dashes, indentations, numbers, bold mark, italic mark, underlining and bullet points to condense your entire information into a more readable presentation. The next most important skill that you should inculcate is try to establish a personalized habit of writing or typing the minimal amount of information that is necessary for you to understand your notes when you review them later, so that you can listen more effectively and attentively and have a more successful engagement with the presentation that you have attended. Listening skills, therefore, in any note-taking exercise is considered as a quintessential skill for a successful note-making process. In addition to good listening skills, you will also need to be attentive and alert to what you hear. Both your mind and hand needs to be aligned. To achieve this, you need to remove all possible distraction. Try to develop your own writing style so that you can judge which information is especially important to you when you review your notes. You can also use other types of note-taking such as highlighting, circling or underlining certain information that seems to you to be of utmost importance. This will allow you to locate and recall information more easily in a future date. Try to also use concise points, single words or phrases, or in fact short sentences, my dear friends, along with bullet or numbered list if necessary. You can always ask your fellow presentees in the particular lecture of what you have missed out, or you can ask the speaker to repeat a point or a friend after the event. But while you are writing down, as you miss a point, keep the space blank and continue taking notes. I hope now you have been able to understand the basic idea, characteristics and the skills. With this, I will now like to move my lecture in the module to understanding what is skimming. Skimming is reading rapidly in order to get a general overview of the material. Skimming is generally used in previewing, reviewing, and determining the main idea from a long selection you do not wish to read, or even try to find out source material for a research paper. Skimming, therefore, my dear friends, can save you hours of laborious reading. However, it is not always the most appropriate way to read. It is very useful, however, as you review a more detailed reading or when you are reviewing a selection of heavy content material. But When you scheme, you may or will generally end up missing important points or overlook finer shading of meanings, for which reading a paper or perhaps even studying it will be necessary on a later situation. Scheming as a technique could be used to overview your textbook chapters or to review for a test. Use scheming to decide if you need to read something at all. For example, during the preliminary research of a paper, scheming can tell you enough about the general idea and tone of a material, as well as the similarities or difference from other sources. And then you can decide if you will need to read the article at all or not. You will be alert for keywords and phrases, the names of person, places, dates, noun, and any unfamiliar words. When you scheme, my dear friends, you take a calculated risk that you will miss something. So, all good schemers do not scheme everything at the same rate or with the same attention. While scheming requires you to be faster than your normal in your reading speed, you should slow down in certain relevant and important points, or when you read particular reading materials in section that may appear to be complicated or unclear. It will therefore help you to save time. Next point is scanning. Scanning too uses keywords and organizational cues. But while the goal of scheming is a bird's eye view of the material, the goal of scanning is to locate and scoop down on particular facts. Using scanning in research to find particular facts, to study fact-heavy topics, and to answer questions requiring factual support. Scanning, therefore, my friends, is a technique that requires concentration and can surprisingly be very tiring. You may have to practice at not allowing your attention to wander off to distraction. Choose a time and place that you know works for you and then dive into the process of scanning. While scanning is reading rapidly in order to find a few facts, scheming tells you what general information is within a section. Scanning also helps you to locate a particular fact. Scheming, therefore, my friend, can be seen as snorkeling, and scanning is more like a pearl diving. Scanning a text, my dear friends, is looking through it quickly to find specific information. Scanning is commonly used in daily life. For example, when you are looking up a word in a dictionary or finding your friend's name in a context directory on your phone. Scanning and other quick reading skills, scheming, are often confused, though they are completely different. While scheming is concerned with finding general information, namely the main idea, scanning involves looking for specific information. Before you start scanning for information, my dear learners, you should try to understand how the text is arranged. This will help you to locate the information more quickly. For example, when scanning for a word in a dictionary or your friend's name in your contact list, you already know that the information is arranged alphabetically. This means that you can go more quickly to the part you want without having to look through everything. For this reason, scheming can be useful to use in combination with scanning. So we can say, my dear learners, that both of these habits or skills go hand in hand together to be effective in your reading and writing communication, for they help you to actually understand the general idea of a text. With all this being said about note-taking, note-making, scheming, and scanning, we can now say that you should develop these skills more effectively so that it can help you to use English or communication in a more presentable way for yourself and for whom you are presenting it to. With this, we conclude the module. And as we do so, this module should have helped you to understand the various theoretical ideas practical methods and skill regarding note making, note taking, skimming and scanning. So it is now expected that you should be and shall be able to use them in your academics and career, both now and in the future. These tools shall not only help you in advancing your reading, writing and listening skills, but also help you gain confidence in communication. In the next module of this MOOC program, you will get a brief and as well as detailed discussions of concepts and benefits in soft skills, all of which will help you gain maximum in enhancing your personality and communicating reputation. Hope this module was helpful to you. See you soon. Until then, goodbye and take care.